don't have to wear a mask anymore.
I know, but I'm ugly.
No! Shh. You are beautiful.
In this video, you'll be introduced to XX Network Consensus. It has already demonstrated thousands of quantum-resistant secure payments per second, even as the network grows to include many thousands of nodes. Blockchains are cryptographically chained together in such a way that nothing about them can be altered. The servers or nodes that comprise a blockchain system need to agree, or what's called reach consensus, on each new block before it can be added as the next block. There must be agreement on the exact same block to add onto the end of the sequence or blockchain, even if some nodes are malfunctioning and or actively trying to subvert the network. For instance, such nodes could try to get two different blocks added, each by different parts of the network. Here's a fun fact. So-called Byzantine nodes are nodes that are hell-bent on creating disruption or division. Systems that can resist them are called Byzantine Fault Tolerant, or BFT. A BFT system can move things forward correctly no matter what the Byzantine nodes might try to do, so long as no more than 1/3 of the nodes are Byzantine. The first theorists to write up the idea did it through an allegory of generals in the age of Byzantium trying to agree on when to invade a city. The root of the generals' problem was that they couldn't trust their messengers to deliver correct messages reliably. This first write-up kicked off the now substantial technical literature on distributed networks. Suppose three friends, Alice, Bob, and Charlie, are trying to decide between having burgers or pizza for dinner. You might think that a simple majority vote is enough to decide. However, let's look at a scenario where Alice votes for pizza and Bob votes for burgers. But Charlie is duplicitous in telling Alice that pizza's the way to go, while at the same time telling Bob that burgers are the best option. Now, Alice believes pizza got 2/3 majority, while Bob believes burgers got 2/3 majority. Charlie has gone Byzantine, causing twice as much food to be purchased and so doubling the spending. For blockchains, when a new block is added, it records a batch of transactions. The most common example, and that is here, is of digitally signed transactions, each authorizing value to be moved from an account for which the respective signature type is on record on-chain. In order to better understand XX Network Consensus, let's look at the different roles that nodes in the system can take on for the purpose of adding the next block. The block producer, or BP for short, is a single node selected from all nodes unmanipulatably at random. The role of the BP is to propose a single new block that should include all new valid transactions. What are called endorser nodes are selected for this block unmanipulatably at random from all nodes, but the number of endorsers is always the same. The role of the endorser nodes is to certify the new block proposed by the BP. The XX solution lets every functioning node in the network participate in the consensus protocol without it having to make a heavy lift. And in this role, a node is called a validator. XX consensus only uses intensive communication between a limited number of nodes, just the endorsers. This means that even if the number of validators grows dramatically, the time it takes to reach consensus grows only slightly, because the most time-consuming part of adding a block by far is the communication within the fixed size set of endorsers. Before proposing its new block, the BP checks validity for all transactions that should go into it. Each transaction must pass two tests. The first checks validity of the authorizing signature for the account that value is moved from, and the second checks that enough value was in that account to cover the transfer. the BP can discard any invalid transactions encountered and should combine all the valid ones into the new block. Next, the BP sends out its proposed block as a tag. Such a tag cryptographically defines the exact block, but is very compact. Validators receiving the tag directly or indirectly from the BP should check that the BP was in fact the one chosen cryptographically but unpredictably. When most validators tell the endorser subset that they agree with the tag, it means that they've seen the same tag and hence agree on the exact same next block to add. At this point, the endorser should have completed double-checking all the tests the BP should have made, and they can sign off. This then ensures the two key properties. First, that exactly one block is added, since almost all validators saw the same tag defining the block from the unique valid BP. This means, for instance, that Byzantine nodes have failed to split or stop the network. Second, that most endorsers have verified that the block is fully valid, and thus, for instance, Byzantine nodes have failed to insert false transactions. In short, we guarantee that there is always exactly one version of the blockchain, and the values it records for each account are correct. The validators can now move on to the next new block to add with its new unmanipulatable random endorser set and choice of BP. The XX network consensus protocol uses cryptography that is quantum resistant. In fact, it uses the strongest type of quantum cryptography and proven protocols, including a breakthrough smartphone-friendly compact sign-off signature. So, developments in the quantum computing space will not threaten the value stored by users of XX network. And since the number of endorsers is always the same, performance of the network is essentially unchanged no matter how many nodes join. Suppose Alice wants to send a message to Bob, but she doesn't want anyone to know that the two of them are communicating. Message content can easily be protected by so-called end-to-end encryption, but this does not protect the information about who's talking to whom and when, the metadata, which is increasingly recognized as far more revealing and more challenging to protect. Each member of a team of nodes, in order to protect the metadata, successively shuffles the batch of encrypted messages using its container of secretly arranged tubes and sending the messages without delay through to the next team member. Even just a single node can keep senders from being linked to recipients. Alice also gets a receipt informing her confidentially that her message was provided to Bob. Team members then destroy their secret pattern of tubes, making way for a new team ready for a new batch. Earlier, each node is chosen independently as a kind of random secret key, which input tube to connect to which output tube. Elixir's breakthrough over the type of messaging I open sourced in the 80s is a way that enables almost all the work to be done well in advance, yielding the only known way to provide real-time metadata protection smartphone to smartphone. Lead can also pay Yumi by sending what appears to be an ordinary message, but that actually contains numbers that serve like metal coins and paper money. Called such denominated unforgeable numbers digital cash, first issued by DigiCash in the 90s. Elixir's breakthrough improvement on the original digital cash now makes it fully distributed and quantum resistant. Elixir, thus, is able to uniquely provide a new, ultimate metadata level protection of confidentiality in all your online communications and payments. For the first time, giving you a protected sphere protecting your digital world today and your digital future.